Well, welcome back to Get Detecting, guys. Welcome also to an absolute beautiful morning. We've just parked the car up on top of the hill there behind us, and we are just walking into a brand new gold area. This is an area that I've researched quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, very thoroughly, using Trove and old mine reports, historical reports, and old mine surveys and what have you. Even the old mud maps, and just checking out which way the lay of the land goes, where the mines are, and what the miners did. And in actual fact, this mine here, it produced over 3,000 ounces. So very impressive. This looks like a bit of a pile, a bit of a runoff from some of the dirt that I'm processing, and looks like someone's been having a go with the detector, which is great to see. But look, this area here, it's all brand new to me. I have never explored it, never walked it. That's what we're going to do today. We're hoping to find some gold. There's a couple of things I can tell you about this area though. It was a party of two men who first found this area, and they started prospecting this area, and it was quite amazing reading the accounts of just what they found. So they were working from the gully up, and that's what we're going to do today. We're heading down to the gully, and we're going to follow in their footsteps. These are the party of two men. They're working from the gully up though, and basically weren't doing too well. You know, they were finding little bits of gold and traces of gold down in the creek, down in the gully, and as they worked their way up the hill, bingo, they hit on the quartz lode, they hit on the quartz reef and the lode, and basically, look, it stated in the old article, they hit such a successful patch. They were plucking 10 and 12 and 13 ounce pieces of gold out from the grassy roots here. So just phenomenal. And look, you can already see part of the quartz reef that they've plucked out. That's not a floater, that's something that, well, it is a floater, come down the hill, same with these two, but it would have been brought out from the mine shaft up the top there. So a lot of work took place here later on. Obviously, after the big gold, the good gold was found, it started a bit of a rush, it started a bit of a stir. So the two party prospectors, or the two men in the party of prospectors, they took out a lease obviously straight away, pegged out a claim, being what we're standing on right now, and they started mining this very heavily for gold. Now they actually touched on the lode and on the quartz reef there, it says, and they found quite a bit more gold, but it wasn't consistent enough for them to continue following, and so they abandoned it. Now about 4 or 5 years later, this claim actually just sat idle, and about 4 or 5 years later, someone applied for a forfeiture. Now, what that meant was someone else wanted to work this ground, and basically it was abandoned by the previous party. So someone else was looking to come here and work it, and that's exactly what they did. They come here and worked it, and another party of men, I think it was a party of 4 or 5, they put substantial amount of money into here, spending thousands of pounds, erecting machinery, and prospecting the land further and seeing what else it held, and they struck it rich once again. And as I said, this mine was responsible for around about 3,500 ounces, or just under, coming out of the ground. So 3,500 ounces of gold come out from this area, and what we're standing on here would be a massive wash pile where some of that gold come out from, and they've processed it and then dumped it here. So as I said, what we're doing though, we're starting in the bottom of the gully, and I want to work my way up. I'd love to find a 10-ounce piece of gold stuck in the grassy roots from the bottom of the gully up. So look, that's what we're going to do. I don't think that's going to happen, but we've got to try, don't we? So we're going to go down to the bottom of the gully. We're going to switch the 6000 on. It's all great to hum around here and probably detect all this, but I think everybody else will have done the same. So I want to do something different, follow in the footsteps of the old prospectors, and look, see if we can hit a bit of success. Not saying we're going to find 10-ounce pieces of gold, but even something little would be good to make a start. We'll see you down in the gully. Oh, I felt like a real miner on that first dig there. That was good, but unfortunately nothing good come out of it, just a big ball of rust. So just down in the gully here though, it's quite interesting, and look, I didn't want to come over this far east. I want to go over west, because that's where most of the nuggets were found, the coarse rich nuggets in the grass, from what I've found out through my reading and my research. But what you can see here is the miners have taken this whole gully out and the next one along too. So wherever they've found a bit of a spur of or run of gold, they would have just chopped the whole gully out and processed it all for the gold. And then you can see the miners' holes pitting out each side all the way up, and that's sort of what we're standing here on the left hand side and what we're hunting. And I'm sure as we go into that next spur, that next gully, they will just continue on, because they didn't stop until they ran out of payable gold, really. So we've got a target there too. False signal, nothing on that one. And last one here was, as I said, just a big ball of rust. So we'll fill the hole in the hole, and then we're going to keep going down into the creek. And as I said, head west, where hopefully we find some nuggets. Rightio, well, as you can see, we have made it down to the creek, and as you can see, it's terribly, terribly thick. I thought as much, but look, that's okay. We'll just try and put the coil to the ground where we can, try and pick up on a few more signals. Just going to go over to the other side of this bank for now, and just have a bit of a look over here, and just see the workings, get a bit of a bird's eye perspective. Oh, quartz. A bit of a bird's eye view of what they've done over here, and it's actually a little bit thinner over this side, I'm just looking. And the mines run all the way up the top of this cap, so as the hill comes down and flattens out before the creek, that's what the miners have attacked, running all the way along. And they've done the same thing over there. Oh, quartz. They've done the same thing over on that side. They've just sort of cut off that lower bench on the creek. And look, this is exactly what I stated there before. The miners had started from the creek, and a lot of the times to find the gold source, what the miners did was they always started in the creeks, and they loamed their way up to the top of the hill. So they'd start panning in the creeks, find a bit of colour, and when the gold colour got thicker or coarser or heavier, you know, they started getting more gold in their pan, in their dish. That's when they started going uphill. And if the gold was very nuggety and coarse, well, they knew to head uphill to look for the source. So very, very thick in here. And today I will say I'm poking around a little bit, but not a great deal, because it's 34 degrees today. So as soon as it gets hot, I'm getting out, and we're getting out of the bush. Just fascinating though. It's just, look, we may not find any gold today, and that's quite okay with me. It's putting boots on the ground, which is most important. Look at that. There's a peg claim. I wonder if that's the original claim from the two Party of Men. I highly doubt it. That'll be a bit later, 1900s, that one. And he's blank. So yeah, very interesting. I love exploring these areas. So pegged out claim, reef at the top of the hill. We've made it down into the gully. Now let's get off to the west side of the hill and see if we can't find a few nuggets drifting off there, because that's where they were shedding off, down into the creek from the reef up the top of the hill, and also to the west of the hill. Let's have a go. Oh, that is interesting. I thought it was one of those trees. There we go, it is too. It's a cherry tree, a balat tree, a Christmas tree. What the miners called them anyway, Christmas tree, because they used them as a Christmas tree. So there we go, the old cherry tree, eh? We just did a video on that the other week, and I've been spotting them more and more out in the gold fields now, and they indicate the shallow ground through fault lines and fractures and cracks in the ground. These cherry trees indicate the shallow gold ground. You've got to be in the gold-bearing gold field areas to begin with, but you see those trees, they're also called the money tree, because the miners love to hunt around them too and get the gold, and as I said, indicating that shallow ground. I can't see any more just off the distance, but we're going to jump over that bit of a spur there and have a bit of a look. And it sort of comes down into a bit of a tributary with the junction, or a junction in the tributary there, where these three creek lines come together. So we're going to go down there as well, and as I said, work westwards up the hill towards that reef. See if we can pluck a big nugget from under the grass. Alright, steady your horses everyone, don't get too carried away. We just found a big 10-ounce gold nugget hidden in the grass roots. Do you want to have a look? It fits in the scoop. I swear I'm not lying. We do have gold though. So it's not a 10-ounce nugget, but look, that's really cool. I wasn't expecting to find gold today. I sort of half was, but it didn't really matter if I did or didn't. It's about getting out and exploring new areas, and that's exactly what we've done. And a little bit of a reward for that is a bit of gold. So that's pretty nice. And we've only just crossed over this bit of a creek gully. And funnily enough, look what's in the background. The old cherry tree, eh? As I said, it gets you every time. It pays to hunt around them. And I did sort of hunt around over the other side there. Got a couple of bits of lead, and look, I just jumped ship, jumped over here because I've seen a massive quartz pile tailing and I want to attack that next. And look, if this gully was clear, I'd just continue my way all the way down here. But as you can see, it's horribly overgrown. The miners would have dealt with that too back in the day when they first found this place. It would have been, you know, amazingly overgrown, untouched, barren, wild landscape. And then they would have come in here and same thing, they would have had to clear it all away. Mind you, they probably just set fire to the place or just literally chopped everything down and burnt everything by their campfire and used everything to shore up their mines. And look, there wouldn't have been much timber left around here, put it that way. So, but then as the two parties of prospectors left, there was about 5 years where this place sat idle. So it all regrew again. And then when the new party come in, expended all that money and put all that time into here and prospected it all again, well, they had to probably clear it all again. So very interesting. Our first bit of gold. Awesome. And he was not even deep, just down in that material there. Let's continue around here. It gets clear up above us, but first off I want to get over to that quartz pile and I'll show you that as well. Yoink. Right, well, I know it's hard to tell from just watching the video, but my God, is it hot. It's not even 9 o'clock yet, as you see on the watch, and oh, we're sweating. We are really sweating. I'm going to sit down and take a break soon. There's my left-hand sleeve. It's wet. Gross. But look, it's very, very hot, so we're not going to stay around the bush that long. Probably another hour, 2 hours, and I think it might be time for us to get out of there. Get out of here. Look at that little bird. What's he doing? He's looking for bugs on the tree, I reckon. I get so easily distracted, don't I? It's the little things, though. You've got to keep your eye out. He is too. He's looking for bugs on the tree. How cool is that? As I said, little things. Yeah, you come out here just for gold, but if you're missing those little things, well, you're missing so much. You might be getting the gold, but you're missing everything else. The little things. So let's keep going. This is the quartz pile I said that I wanted to get to. I got distracted by the bird there, of course. But this quartz pile here, it would have been quite obviously pulled up, dug out by the miners, and they would have smashed up, broke up a lot of the quartz and retrieved the gold. So, and as you can see in front of us here, it is a lot clearer. And this is ideally where I wanted to get to. Look at the bird, he's still going. What a bloody legend. That's maybe how I get my feed this morning. Look at him going up the tree. I get distracted so easily, don't I? I love these little things though. Look, the reef, what I was saying. Oh, it's shocking. The reef, what I was saying, is up there. And look, from my research, you can see it says that the party of two there, they come from the gully up and they hit on the reef, and then westwards of the reef is where they also found quite a lot of nuggety gold hidden in amongst the grass, in this sort of reedy grass at the tree, at the grass roots there. So yeah, look, that's research is key, and research is what's going to lead me around this place today. Only problem is the sun is what's going to probably push me out. So let's do a bit of detecting around this quartz pile, and then let's start working this hill westwards around, and eventually we'll get back to the car. Just a bit of lead on that last target. Does not surprise me. It does not worry me either. Something I was going to say here though, with my research, learning about the two parties of prospectors, they might have been brothers, they might have been best mates, but what they did was they, as I stated at the start of this video, they prospected the gullies and the creeks. They were panning when they come across the coarser, richer gold. They knew that there was a source somewhere, and they made their way uphill to the source because they knew that gravity would have fed it down into the creek. And if they went too far in the creek and the gold started dropping off, they knew to go back to that rich point, and as I said, make their way up the hill, look for the source. And a part of how they did that back in the day, the miners, a simple method, pick and shovel, or pick and shovel and rake even. And what they'd do is they'd do what was called loaming, like I mentioned before, or trenching up a hill. Now what they did was take about 10-20 centimetres off the top surface, and they'd make their way from the source of good gold in the creek. They'd make their way up the hill, trenching as they went. And sometimes it might just be a test hole here, a test hole there, a test hole there, and maybe a costine, you know, here and there, like a little test hole, what you see in front of us. sometimes it might have been testing all the way up the hill until they found the reef. Well, in this case, what they did was they trenched and loamed up the hill. And as I said, trenching and loaming, well, we've seen the trenching over there before, but the loaming, as I said, it would just take 20 centimetres off the top of the hill and make their way up, and exposing a lot of fractures and cracks and bedrock points and junctions just like this. And, you know, looking at it here, I can't see any quartz veins in it. Through my readings and research though, that's what the two parties of prospectors found, and they followed the leaders and the indicators and hit on the big lode of gold. So the rich lode of gold being the quartz reef, where it was all shedding off from. So just fascinating to learn. And, you know, seeing that little test hole here, it almost looks like this has been sort of taken away, trenched out. I don't know, maybe they took the whole side of this hill off. It's really hard to account for everything they did. It's okay to make a picture and a bit of a judgment, but it is really hard to account for what they did. And you got to remember, we've already got the lead out of that. You got to remember, there was multiple parties of prospectors in some areas. You know, there might have been a prospector or multiple prospectors in one area prospecting for a while, and then they abandoned it and left, and then you had another team or another party or another enterprise come in and start up a mining claim and work that ground. So you can account for maybe what the last people did, but any wonder what the first people did that hit the ground and actually found the gold. So very, very interesting, and research is key. The more you research, the more you learn, the more you know, the better success you'll probably have. Oh, we're making our way up the creek at the moment, and I'm noticing a lot of quartz floaters now. What are quartz floaters? They're big chunks of quartz floating their way down the hill, such as this, such as that, such as all these pieces in front of us. So look for that white stained quartz. The more staining, the better. But look, where you see that sort of stuff, look at that. It's got ironstone mixed all through it. Beautiful mineralisation. Where you see that sort of stuff though is where the miners were looking for and attacking as well. And you see here they've run a little costine, a little trench. And they've run it, what are we saying, east-west, because that is north-south. So they've run it east-west, and normally you see them quite long. But this one's only a very, very small one. What the miner's doing here is looking for the indicator and making his way up the hill. And as we go up the hill, I'm certain we're going to see more of those little costine trenches. And same thing as we go down back to the creek, because the miners were looking for those indicators in the ground to help them lead them onto the source of the gold. So that's what that is there. He probably didn't get any gold out of it, or maybe he only got very fine flour gold, just to learn if there was a pay source over here or if it dropped off. So very interesting, and someone's had a prospect right there many, many, many years ago. Hopefully they got gold. Let's keep going. All right, well, that just about wraps it up for us today there, guys. It's a shame too, because I really don't want to leave this new spot. It's been good. Like, I've only got the one bit of gold, yeah, but it's been good this morning. I've really enjoyed my time, and I've seen new areas, and I've seen a lot of new potential areas that I want to get back and try again. And I'm certain more gold to follow in future. So what we did do there, the little nugget, is pretty cool. Little reefy nugget too. He's got a few sharp edges on him. So look, probably 0.05, 03, 07 if I'm lucky. It's not about that though. It's about getting boots on the ground. As I said, through all the research I've done in the last couple of weeks for this place, it's been phenomenal reading, but to get here, put boots on the ground and walk in the footsteps of all the research and the prospectors that you've read about before, I think that's even more interesting for me, and I just love it. And one thing about that too is the more you know, the more you can follow in their footsteps and pick up on the success they had, and probably cut out all the corners of all the failures they had, because they had a lot of those as well. So as said, in this instance, two prospectors started in the Gully. They worked their way up, and over 3,000 ounces of gold come out from here. And over this side here, there was another mine, and well, they only pulled out about 300 or 400 ounces. So 3,000 ounces, 400 odd ounces, a big difference. And that is why research is key. So you'll always find me on this side of the hill, probably not the other. But then again, once I'm finished this side, I'll get over to the other. So as I said, one little bit of gold today, a great day, a great morning, and if it wasn't so bloody hot, I'd stick around for longer. I hope to see you next time. Cheers, guys.